Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We are live from Los Angeles. This is the Mondays with Wallace. I'm Wallace. I'm your host. We speak about anything, everything cannabis. Cannabis, anything, cannabis, everything. You are on Flight 420, live from Los Angeles. Thanks for being aboard. We will take your phone calls at 424-227-9461. We are live on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. We will be on SoundCloud for your download and your podcast listenings under Mondays with Wallace. I'm Wallace. I'm a board certified pharmacist. We discuss cannabis from a think tank perspective, live from, actually we're in Culver City, but I say Hollywood each Monday. We explore every single thing from legalization to financial perspectives and the impact on cannabis and your life. I'm a 30-year pharmacist in healthcare, in addition to rehabilitation science. I'm Wallace Peoples. We want to be thankful to Lee Michaels at the... Lee's laughing over here at the Power of Voices studio with Josefa Salinas. Today, my guest is going to be Carol Lemire, and this is going to be a dark show. This is going to be a very dark show, but this is going to be a really necessary show. This show, we're going to talk about death and cannabis. We're going to talk about death and cannabis. We're going to talk about cannabis, palliative care, and death is a natural entity. Death is really a natural part of life. And very typically, the end of life, which is called palliative care, there are a lot of variables that can be introduced. Some people will use song in death. Some people will use drug therapy in death. Very commonly, we will do things like morphine and sedatives. We will withhold water. We'll give an excess of water. Some people will have family near. Some people will. There's a lot of mechanisms to death. Carol, you with me today?
Yes, I'm with you.
Carol, have you ever experienced the death of anyone close, or have you ever been in the presence of someone that has died or passed away?
Yeah, my brother.
You were with him when he passed away?
Well, at the time when he had leukemia,
mm-hmm.
when it went through his whole body, he went kind of into a coma, and they wouldn't let you stay in there.
They would not let you stay in?
But when I heard him screaming, what do they scream? Cold blue? I went running in there because I was very upset. I knew what was happening. And
yeah.
He used to, because he had leukemia, they used to let him smoke weed in the hospital because it helped him eat.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you're getting radiation and chemo, it gives you huge canker sores in your mouth.
Yeah.
So they have trouble eating. But he didn't go to hospice.
He did not go to hospice?
It just went like that when it took over.
I tend to feel, as you know, that cannabis is oversold on some of its medical uses, but cannabis legitimately can be helpful with appetite, and it can also be very, very helpful with just relaxing you, which I think is something that's really important to palliative care or end of life.
Isn't what they give them when they're at end of life. They give them all the pain medicine they have. You know, it's called a legalized suicide. It's a known fact. I had a friend, they gave her, what do you call it when they make it and you just push a button, the morphine goes through?
It's called a PCA, and they typically use fentanyl, morphine,
there's a name
Dilaudid.
For it where they can push and
it's called PCA, patient-controlled analgesic, is what it is.
So I just know with hospice people, I've known with their families, they don't give them
Can you guys see? You've got my Christmas. This is a Christmas thing today, and I guess I'm talking about death and more in Christmas.
Well, they didn't. They don't let
horrible,
them. You didn't let me finish.
Apologize, please. Finish.
They don't let them. They don't give them the medicine any longer. I know that for a fact because I have friends that their families went into hospice, and they do that for a reason to let them die legally. Where if they commit suicide and they have insurance, they're not going to collect. But by putting them in hospice, they let them die comfortable. You know, they're not dying in all that horrible pain.
if you ever,
So I don't think it's really cannabis. It's the stuff that you sell.
and you're right, they will typically use a lot of a variety of meds to make a person what they call
Comfortable.
comfort care.
Yeah.
If you are ever if you're ever wondering, if you ever hear a star that's going to expire, or you hear someone's close to death, and you're looking at various treatment modes that are available, if you ever hear your treatment mode is quote unquote comfort care typically means this person will typically expire. This person typically will be dead in 24
Layman's
hours.
term, it means dead.
It means they'll be dead in 24 hours.
You know,
And-
actually, I did have a client that went into hospice, but this is really funny.
Mm-hmm.
She called me up and she asked me could she come and would I do her hair? Because I put extensions on her.
Right.
And I said, well, I'm booked. She said, Carol, I'm with hospice and I'm dying and I want to be at least beautiful.
Oh, gosh.
So I went and I got her the most expensive hair. I paid for it.
Wow.
And she came with 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And she, as you called it, expired. She expired within, I think, 5 days because I
Yeah.
called her husband because I hadn't heard back from her. He said
Yeah.
she passed away. But
I mean, death is certainly
I felt
painful.
good that I made her look good. That she just wanted to look good, and that's okay to want to look good.
And in death, Carol, you added value to her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all want to be important. We all want to feel valued, and you absolutely made her feel valued. Today we have on the line, I believe, Chris. Chris, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Chris, today we're talking about a really bit of a sad subject. We're talking about, obviously we talk about cannabis, and we're talking about death in cannabis. Have you had anyone recently pass, or have you lost anyone recently?
My grandmother died a while ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What was it painful when you hear the loss of a grandmother? Typically, that's someone that you love and respect, so that had to be painful for you. It had to be painful for your family. Do you feel, if you were able to look at this, is there anywhere or any place that cannabis could have been helpful?
I think for pain, maybe.
Yeah, was she in a lot of pain?
Yeah, she passed away from Alzheimer's, and she had a little Parkinson's.
Little Parkinson's?
Yeah.
Well, that's painful. She didn't have any type of oncology or cancer, did she?
No, she didn't.
It's thought that 60% of the people that die, a full 60%, could actually benefit from cannabis. Cannabis typically will increase your appetite. It will also make you a little bit of, it also relax you quite a bit. I don't think you would typically smoke the cannabis, but I think
My brother did.
He actually smoked?
Yeah, they let him smoke in the hospital when he was dying.
Did your grandma smoke at all?
No, she didn't.
Never in her life did she smoke?
I don't believe so. Maybe when she was younger, but that was
well, the
19...
The thing with cannabis, it's thought that the cannabis would kind of help physically, emotionally, psychological, and it's even felt that cannabis here has a certain spiritual healing to help. So, you know, on this show, we do not advocate, support, recommend the use of cannabis.
I don't believe so. Maybe when she was younger.
So how's your family doing now?
They're doing all right.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's the holiday season. The holiday seasons are really tough on people, and what we see a lot is suicides. Suicides typically go up quite a bit during this season.
Yeah, why is it so depressing?
Well, I think the reason it's depressing is because people are typically alone. Do you yourself, Chris? Do you ever feel depressed?
No, not really.
Well, I think depression is a natural disposition. Do you ever feel happy?
Yeah.
Okay,
most
so
of the time.
if you can feel happy, then you can feel sad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's just if you can feel full, then you can feel empty. If you can feel high, then you can feel low. So I think depression is a natural. I think it's a natural part of life, and my feeling is cannabis takes you through that whole cycle. So if you smoke weed, you have this bit of euphoria. And correct me because I don't smoke weed, and I don't know if any of my listeners smoke weed or who smokes weed. But do you feel during the course of smoking? Do you feel up?
Yeah, I feel pretty up.
Do you feel just fine?
Yeah.
Do you feel down?
Yeah. Really relaxed.
You feel really relaxed. Is really relaxed down?
I don't know. It's hard to describe, really.
You got to describe it. You got to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't feel down like sad or anything. You just feel really relaxed.
I see.
In my opinion.
Well, I think this is why they're advocating the use of cannabis at the end of life or in palliative care. Do you know what happens? And I'm on a
well, because it helps people eat. I'm serious. It helps their appetite.
Yeah.
Have you ever been around someone that dies? That has died? Any of you guys?
Yeah, I told you my brother.
No, at the moment of death.
More or less, yes. I told you I ran in there.
So you've seen death 3 times? My producer's seen death 3 times. How would you remark that, if you don't mind, Lee? My producer is Lee Michaels, who we really love and respect. I'm going to describe a death to you. I'm going to describe it in a very graphic terms. So if you have children watching at this point, may want to turn them away. Typically, you breathe normally. You breathe. Typically, as your breathing gets less and less as you die, you breathe at 14 cycles per minute. But as you're dying, you can breathe as low as 3 cycles per minute. And at 3 cycles per minute, you do what we call an agonal breathing. And an agonal breathing is when you're gasping for air. You breathe. The people that are expiring, at times they will snore. It's very common to hear them snore. Many times, if we respond to what we say codes, like let's say you were in a code and I were in a code, and you were to respond to my bed as part of a code blue, and when you got to my bed, it would say no, this patient does not want resuscitative actions. So essentially, you sit there and you have to watch them expire.
Well,
watch them die.
Just with my brother, he made a point of telling me, do not let my wife put a thing to me to keep me alive. And that's the first thing she wanted to do. And it's like, no, you can't do that to my brother. He wants to just go. Let him go.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for her, but sometimes people don't know where you go when this happens. I mean, some people are conscious of what is happening around them, their surroundings. And
typically, when someone has started to breathe at a low clip, we have the option. There's options that you have. You're not giving cannabis at this point, but what happens is the person's getting hypoxia, so they're getting a varying amount of oxygen, and it's thought what happens then is their brain is starting to fire off, and their brain is starting to die. And what happens then is they will tend to have these ideations. Whereas if you had sisters or people that have passed, you're thinking of someone in the neighborhood that you're going to be with your husband, or I see my husband,
or mom and dad.
But it's weird when you say this, because a lot of people when they die, it's like if you listen to what's the president that just passed away?
Bush.
George.
If you heard what he said, he knew he was dying, and he told his son, he said, I love you.
Yeah. So
And
last thing he
a
said.
lot of people, basically, it's very peaceful for them.
It's
They're
very
ready
peaceful.
to go. I had a little brother that he was in the hospital because he was dying. He was 8 years old,
Yeah.
but he wanted to come home.
You
He
know,
wanted to be at home because he knew he was dying.
yeah.
Mhm.
And as young as he is, he knew this. But sometimes to me, it's very peaceful because I don't know if you believe in the dimensions in that, the third and fourth dimensions,
Yeah.
that you're still basically here, but you're in another dimension.
Well, you know,
It's just, I think people are at peace when they die.
if you ever talk to someone that has drowned and been recovered from drowning, drowning is always the worst thing that I've ever wanted to do. But people describe the latter aspects of drowning as being very, very peaceful, very peaceful.
I've been close to drowning.
You've been close to drowning, is that right?
Yeah.
And can I ask you how you've been close to drowning?
Well, I was at the beach in Virginia.
Did
That
you have
was that was-
Speedos on?
No, they didn't have those back in those days.
I just had to
We
say
just
that.
go naked. We didn't have to do speedos.
Okay, I'm sorry now. It's true.
You're right. And I was out in the ocean, and I just begun to learn how to swim, and I got a cramp in the leg,
Mm-hmm.
and I began to the current began to pull me under,
I see.
and I was sucking up water into my lungs,
Is that right?
and I felt like I was semi-unconscious there for a minute,
I see.
and then something snapped,
Mm-hmm.
and it brought me back to the top.
Is that right?
And I was able to overcome it, but
Right.
that was close to drowning.
Sure, sure.
And I've resuscitated people from drowning as a lifeguard.
Oh, are you a licensed lifeguard? Are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good for you.
You know,
Good for
it's scary when you say that because my dad, when he died, and I had a roommate then and my kids, he had been an absentee father. And I think the last time I had talked to him before he died is he wanted some money. Well, the night he died, I was in my bedroom and I felt something come through the door. And it's funny, I didn't say nothing to anybody in the morning, but you know what? My roommate will tell you this too at the time. She's seen it too, come through the door. You felt it come through the door.
Is that right?
Come into the house, searching rooms.
Chris-
Because then one of my kids even said the same thing. So
Chris,
I
are you
think
still there?
when you go into a
Yeah.
coma or things like that, people have been known to leave their body spiritually.
You'll hear, and where are you at here, Chris? Do you believe in life after death? Do you believe when someone dies that there's something that leaves the body,
I think their soul.
their
Yeah.
soul?
Yeah.
When I've watched people die, and in the period that I've seen people die, you look for a light or a presence, or you look for, because I actually am observant to that, and I've never seen that. I've never seen that, and
I don't think I have either.
I've never seen that.
You know,
we had
sometimes I feel like there's a presence of something. I've never seen anything.
How about where you live?
No, you
Isn't
told me
that
about
funny?
pictures
Because
flying.
there is a
I've
present in
always-
that house.
there's a presence in.
In Jehosepha's house. It's
Is this
a
a presence?
known fact. One time I was there with her, and that's because they built on top of burial grounds. Because I have a friend that lives at the opposite end, and the same thing. She actually had her house, what do they call it, exercise. But I was at her house one day, and something tapped me.
Something tapped you.
And I said, I thought we were alone. She said, we are. I said, no, something just tapped me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird because one night they were all sleeping. This picture she has just up. It didn't fall this way. It up and flew off the wall.
Mhm. Do you believe in ghosts, Lee?
I'm 50-50 on that.
50-50?
Yeah, I'm not. I haven't seen anything that convinced me.
Chris, do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah, I haven't seen any. I'm skeptical of that. Yeah, I
think
haven't really.
I
didn't
don't know
ask
so
me?
much about ghosts, but I believe that there are other beings from other
Mother.
planets, or
Carol, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
You believe in ghosts?
I believe in spirits.
Believe in spirits?
Yes, I believe in spirits.
My family.
I've had different things happen where I have people stay in my house, and I have this upstairs loft.
Mm-hmm.
Even men are scared sometimes. I had a friend a couple of weeks ago, and he had been drinking. I said, "You can go upstairs and sleep, but you ain't sleeping in my room."
I see.
He said, "No." He said he heard something up there. I've heard that from many people that have stayed up in that room, where
Well,
they
what's
get a
the-
little nervous, and it's like, all you have to do is, if you're scared of something, you just tell it in the name of Jesus Christ, go away.
Yeah. Well, if I were ever afraid or frightened, and you would call to Jesus, if you're a religious person, and I'm a religious person, when have you ever, when you were drowning, did you call to Jesus to help you?
I don't recall doing that. And I kind of thought that somebody else was looking out for me, whether it was Jesus, God, my dad, who had already
Your
passed by
guardian
then.
angel.
Yeah, something. There was a reason why I didn't completely drown.
Yeah. Chris, have you ever called to Jesus to help you?
Yeah, I might have.
When did you call to Jesus to help you?
I don't know.
I know it's a tough question. I know it's a tough question. I know it's a tough question. Do you know when
Yeah.
I called to Jesus? I called to Jesus about 3 years ago. I had the IRS knock on my door.
Jesus,
They
help.
came to your door.
I swear to God.
Were they at the wrong
Jesus.
door?
No, they're at my door. I tell you, that's what,
I haven't come to my door before, too.
that's what you know.
Are you serious?
That's a call to Jesus.
Why
That's,
did
Yeah,
they
it
come
is.
to your door?
that's a come to Jesus
Collect
moment.
money.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I never heard it either.
This guy came to my door, and I told him, "You better get off my porch." I don't know who you
That's
are.
a come to
He
Jesus
said, "Well, you
moment.
owe the government $137.52." I said, "What?"
They came to your door? for
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Do they don't do that now.
They do,
don't
yeah,
they?
they do. They
I
do.
haven't heard anybody doing
They
it
absolutely
lately.
do.
But I said, "Well, prove to me that I owe you $137.52."
Go
And he
not
tore
mess
off a
with the
corner of his-
IRS.
Yeah, the
They got me
IRS.
for $37,000.
The IRS,
Well,
I'll
yeah,
tell you,
I've
the
paid more
IRS,
than that, too.
they're the nicest people on the planet. But you got to just work with them. You got to just work with them. So we're back to our palliative care with cannabis again, and there's some real opportunities, I think, for cannabis to be effective here, because when you're palliative care, you're definitely expiring. You're definitely dying, and that's we're all gonna die. It's as sad as it may be or sound. We're all going to be, Carol.
But it all goes back to the same thing, because you're against cannabis.
No,
it's the
I'm
type
against
of stuff pharmacies have that they give people when they're in hospice.
But pharmacy stuff is good, Carol.
Well, I'm saying
stuff
that,
is
but
so
that's
good.
not cannabis.
Oh well, you know.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's not cannabis. They give you morphine and whatever they can give you to make you comfortable.
Well, they make you
And
comfortable,
people do smoke a joint when they're in hospice if they want to.
but comfort
And now
care.
they really can, because it's legal.
Comfort care is end of life.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it is.
I
And-
didn't know that until you
Yeah.
mentioned it just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
Because I went to visit a friend of mine who was in, I thought it was hospice, but they didn't call it that. And I talked to the nurse. I said, "So what is he being, what's his treatment?" She said, "Well, we're just keeping him comfortable."
Yeah, that's what it
So-
is. They keep
And
you
he died
comfortable.
that night.
Well,
I left him at
They-
8 p.m. and he died at like 1 a.m.
Well, I'll tell you something,
They do.
and
They
I'll
keep
tell you
you
a little
comfortable.
secret. I'll tell you a little secret about hospice and comfort care. If you're ever with someone, and let's say all of us, we're together, and let's say you're comfort care, or I'm comfort care, or whatever you want to be. If your friends in comfort care, try to give them some water and see what happens. You know what'll happen?
Won't drink it.
No, they won't allow them to drink it.
Yeah, they don't.
They will not allow you to drink it.
They
Is that a
won't even
choke?
feed them.
No.
They don't
No.
even feed them, Lee.
What
when they're
what
in
they do,
hospice.
and it's again, you are bringing on death. That's what you're doing. You are inviting death.
You're doing a legal
They're
suicide.
not trying to keep you alive.
Yeah,
No.
and,
By
and
hydrating you
truth
or
be
anything.
told, you
They
can
don't feed 'em.
you can go weeks without food. You can only go days without water.
Yeah.
So if you're, being requested to water, none of us, even if you were, let's say I made you comfort care now, all I'd have to do is take your water from you, and you'd be dead in a couple of days.
Yeah.
So you give
And they
them
know
2 days
that too,
sure.
because when you stop urinating,
Yeah, absolutely.
you're not passing any more water through your
Yeah, but
kidneys.
it's just the humans cannot go 2 or 3 days without water. What's the longest you ever gone without water? I mean,
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Well, it's funny though. That is the purpose of hospice.
That's the
is
purpose of hospice.
They
Yeah.
take all your
No, I'm
medicine
not-
from you, your food,
I don't
want to
get into trouble here, but
then-
marijuana would be helpful. But the advantage,
Yeah, but
the,
marijuana's going to give you the munchies.
well, the disadvantage of marijuana. I'm gonna tell you the disadvantage of marijuana, and the reason you cannot use marijuana in palliative care, because marijuana, whereas it can make you comfortable, but it does not decrease your respirations. Whereas, say, Dilaudid or Valium or morphine, fentanyl, it actually brings your respirations down.
Yeah.
And, whereas your respirations are 14, like we're breathing now, let's say 14 cycles per minute. If you breathe once per minute, just try it.
Yeah.
That's incompatible with life.
Yeah.
So you've got these products that'll relax you, bring your respirations down, and
Yeah, you just sleep away.
yeah, you're designed.
Your organs stop functioning as
They
well.
do. They do. You get hypoxic,
liver,
and
your heart.
and so
It's like a doctor just tells you. I have a lot of doctor clients. It's a legalized suicide.
there's a real argument.
I mean, that's
what
what
it is.
doctors. I have 4 doctors. I do in every one of them.
That's
Call
a
it
real
legalized suicide.
That's a
because
real argument.
Then they can collect their insurance.
Yeah, Chris, is your family okay after you losing your grandmother? I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, my family is. My granddad has a hard time at times, like during Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. Yeah.
Well, that's really a painful time, and a lot of people will use cannabis this time of year just to give you an opportunity. Would you say, hey, Carol, would you say cannabis allows you to forget your worries?
No, does not.
It does not allow you to forget your worries?
No,
Well,
it just makes you a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
But it doesn't let
think
you
it-
forget your worries.
No.
You still know you got all those bills to pay, and possibly the IRS knocks on
It
your
takes
door.
the tension off, and it's no longer a crisis.
Yeah.
You just say, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I got to be the first to tell you I'm so fortunate, and I do have troubles, and I'm happy and sad like anyone. I had some rum and some eggnog last night. Oh boy, you talking about taking off?
Take the edge off.
Take the edge off. It
Yeah.
takes my tension off. I don't know if marijuana would do just as well. I'm not sure if marijuana works in that respect.
Well, why don't you try
You would
it
chill.
once?
I think
Just
it would
try
chill you out.
It'd probably chill me out, but I'm pretty a chill person, I think. Don't you
Yeah.
feel like I'm a pretty chill person?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
come
feel
on,
like
let's be
You ain't
honest.
looking too chill today, though.
Yeah,
with that,
no, I've got my hat
Santa
on. I don't know if the people can see me.
and that hat is not red, Doc.
Well, Lee, I got to tell you, our colors are off because my shirt looks orange, my hat looks pink, my face looks yellow.
No.
I look like I'm a high yellow black guy. You guys, I'm really a lot darker than this. I don't know if anyone.
No, you're not.
I don't know if anybody can see me on.
I don't know
SoundCloud.
what the get up is. Why don't you stand up and let them see the whole get up?
No, that's okay. This really is.
He's got Speedos and flip flops on.
No, this is really for audio, and the people that do watch this, we greatly appreciate
I mean,
it.
look at the scarf he's wearing, and then you guys don't want to know what's on the ball of that hat.
Okay, all right, okay. Well,
So
I'm always
what-
thankful to have friends of mine that love me and are willing to constructively criticize me rather than poke nails in my back. Did you guys know that cannabis initially was around in 1937?
I think it was
And,
before that.
Well, it's
No,
like
no.
Coke was around
1937, yeah. And I guess they really made it illegal, quote unquote illegal, it was around in 1930. 1937, they made it illegal. For the most part, there's so much that you can do with it. It's really just gained because people are starting to look at it medically, and it's used in palliative care. I think if you were going to use marijuana in palliative care setting, I think the best setting would be in cookies or it would be in
Some
oral
kind of
products.
edible.
I think. Chris, have you had edibles before?
No, I never have.
So if you have a favorite cookie or anything at all, what's your favorite? If you were to go to the store and you went down the cookie aisle, what would be, or would it be a drink?
What's my favorite?
Yeah, well, if you were to have an alternate way to consume cannabis, what would be the way? You can smoke it, you can drink it, you could. I guess you could use it as a suppository if you really wanted to.
Ooh.
What do you mean a suppository?
It's very effective if you were to insert cannabis or even CBD oil. Although maybe not CBD oil, but if you were to insert cannabis rectally, it would actually get you high.
Well, what exactly do you think cannabis is? I'm just curious. Is it weed you're
Well, you're
talking about?
obviously using it to affect your behavior. I mean,
I just heard a joke in my head.
okay, let's hear the joke.
Her ass was high as hell.
Okay, thank you. But cannabis is something that is. There's certain drugs that are not absorbed inside the rectal lining. Tylenol, you can give Tylenol rectally. You can give antibiotics rectally. You can give certain things for. You can give stimulants rectally.
imagine
There's a
pain
lot of
medicines
things.
as well?
Pain meds you can give rectally.
Yeah.
They make a lot of products rectally. Dilaudid, you have suppositories. Opium, you can actually give that rectally.
Wow.
They're called BNO suppositories. So it's very common that you could give it. So
I never even thought about that.
yeah, you can. But so if you have, let's say, a palliative care patient, and you're someone who really likes the idea of getting cannabis rectally, well, here you go. You can do it. I'm sure if you were trying to give stuff to your pets, you could do that rectally. I'm sure you can. I know they make
Why
rectal
the pets?
products.
You can just blow it in their nose.
Well,
I mean, I wouldn't do that. I don't want my
these are quantitated amounts. You're trying to give a designed amount.
Right.
When you take your pet into let's say your pet is a little older and they're going to put your pet down. There's multiple ways to administer drugs to them, and rectal is a mechanism that you can do that.
Wow. Never thought about that.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's quite common. It's quite common.
You're very informative, Doc.
Well, there's a lot of
That's
information.
Santa Claus over there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Santa.
There you go, guys.
Got a bag full of knowledge today.
It's that's what we do. That's what we do. But I think probably the best way, and I think everyone will agree, if you want to use cannabis in a palliative care setting, you probably would do well to use it just before death. You cannot use it at the moment of death. And the reason you cannot use cannabis at the moment of death is probably the best thing about cannabis, because cannabis typically does not cause death. Typically, wherein morphine, Dilaudid, Valium, I can cause death there.
Yeah.
So if you are on death row and I want to kill you, or not kill you, but I want to
Shorten your life.
shorten your life, cannabis would not be the way. Now, we could use
What about a
Versed.
combination of the narcotic and smoking a joint or eating some, infused cookies, just to kind of, let's say you have pain and then anxiety from the fact that you're going to die, and the medicine that they're giving you, as you say, this ends your life sooner. Maybe at some point you're not going to be able to consume it as you're dying. But before, like a week or two before, if that kind of mellows that person out a little bit, would that be
It
helpful?
most certainly would, especially if this person is not naive to narcotics. Some people, when I typically do tasks, that are hard, basketball, I'll take a Gatorade. So I am sure cannabis in this respect would be very, very valuable, just because it's something that you've had before, and this is something that would actually work to your advantage to help you feel better. And end of life is a traumatic thing. It's, there's no question about it. The thing that cannabis would typically not do, from what our experience has been, it typically does not allow your brain alternative workspace. Whereas as you are losing, as you're losing oxygen, it's thought that, parts of your brain are dying and other aspects of your brain are alive. And those parts of your brain allow for family members to visit you. It allows for even complex calculations. It allows for happy and sad. It allows for memory. It can stimulate a lot of things that make people feel that you're transitioning in life, as opposed to just dying. So cannabis, like when Carol, I believe you smoke cannabis. When you smoke
I don't smoke.
You don't smoke?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Okay.
She used to.
Oh, she used to.
Well, I think we all did, Mr. Lee over there. Mr.
Absolutely.
Lee Innocent.
So
I don't smoke it because I have asthma.
Okay, so
I used to smoke so much, Carol, my fingers would turn green.
Oh, is that right? Well, I've always, I'm not a smoker, but
Just
when we were kids, we would sit in the back of cars, and I'm sure I would get a contact. And I always felt overplaced. I always felt like I was ahead of myself or behind myself. I never felt like that was always the thing I can always remember about being in cannabis. I always felt I was just not in the position that I was. I always felt that I was either closer or farther away than I actually was, which I know that's weird. How do you explain that?
No, it's called tripping.
Tripping? I see. So how do you explain that, Chris?
Yeah.
Well, we got to be careful with Chris. Chris is a Trump supporter. Chris, you're still a Trump supporter?
I don't know.
No, you don't know now.
Yeah, don't admit that now.
Don't admit that now. I think we're going to put old Donald Trump. I think he may go to jail. What do you think?
Jail.
Yeah, they're talking about putting our old president in jail. Some of the stuff he's done. And I know you Ohio people. You're from an Ohio area or the Michigan area. Either Michigan or Ohio, I forget. But Ohio, yeah. We're a little...
What is it about Trump you like? I'm just curious.
I don't know.
Are you just a Republican, so you figured you had to like him? I'm just curious.
I explained to a friend of mine once, you tend to do what your parents do. If you hear your parents talk a certain way or vote a certain way, in my opinion, you just do whatever they do.
So your parents, they were Republicans, and you have basically just carried the flag. Is that right?
Yeah, basically.
What about the younger people in your? Do you have a lot of younger people? Because I've noticed the younger people nowadays, this generation, they don't do that so easy, follow the parents. They have a mind of their own now. I've seen they're totally different then. So I'm just curious, are there a lot of younger people in your family?
No, not too many.
There seem to be a lot of younger supporters of Trump. Did you see where they had the kids that had the wall and they had the picture? Did you see that by chance, Carol? The kids in the high school,
he pays people.
No, he's not paying people. Some people, there's a lot of people that really support this wall.
If you did any of the marches, you'll see there are just not a whole lot of them.
Well, I mean, at least,
especially now that he's been in office and they see things he talked about that he was going to help people.
But he
took from people.
I mean, their thing is promises made, promises kept.
Promises he didn't keep. He can't.
Well, he's keeping the promise about the wall.
I think Wallace is a closet.
He's still pushing for it. It hasn't happened yet, so you can't put that check mark in that box. Mm-hmm. He's using all kind of threats to try to get Congress to fund it. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, it hasn't happened.
Yeah, because didn't Kavanaugh and some other one today say they're not going to mess with pro-life or something they were saying.
It was Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, they're not going to mess with it.
There was
they said.
a case that was before the Supreme Court, and they said they wouldn't hear it. So the lower court rule stands.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I mean I think that is the motivation behind a lot of people. And Chris, I'm not sure where you are at with abortion, but a lot of people support Trump. A lot of Trump supporters, they like two things, and I get it a little bit. I'm not a Trump supporter, but immigration and abortion.
Well,
There are people that hate that, especially people in the
number
Midwest.
one, then you should all go back to your country then, because
Well,
all your
you can't
relatives
say
are
that.
immigrants, sweetie.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
Native American. This was our country. So to me, we're supposed to be a very diverse country, but for some reason they seem to only want to pick on Latins
I don't
and now
think it's that.
Haitians. I don't see no people from London being kicked out of here or people like that. So
Russia,
I'm against
Israel,
it. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong.
Japan.
What is your maid? Do you have a maid come to your house?
Well,
Come on, answer that. Do
well,
you have a maid come to your house? Do you
Oh,
have a
Lord.
gardener?
um,
What nationality is that gardener?
well, you know,
Come on, don't choke on that one. Because you know what? You all say stuff about them, but you know what? Latins are some of the hardest working people. They take the jobs that nobody wants.
well,
That's why we're short of produce lately.
I am being a
because
nice guy. I
nobody's out in
would
the
love
wo-
to do
Will
my
you
own
send
lawn.
your kids to the field? Do they live at home?
Well, I would love to do my own lawn.
Do your kids live at home?
Well, yeah, they do.
So
actually.
maybe they need to go out and pick fruit in those fields so they can get their own places, right?
Well,
I'm just giving you examples of
but
what
Carol,
is
you
wrong
have
with
to realize
people.
my
It's
family is
just-
from a family of farmers, and just like when we were trying to
No, that
to
isn't
plant,
what I'm
remember I
trying
planted
to
that
say. I'm
marijuana.
trying to say they pick on just Latins.
you are not a farmer.
I am a farmer.
you're
my
not
family's
a
a farmer. My mom's
They
a farmer.
are.
Well, then
but
you
you
should
killed-
pick up your. Do you have a big car where you can all caravan out there and help pick some of this fruit that needs to be picked? Since they feel these people
You
should
killed
be
the
sent
easiest
back.
plant in the world to grow, and that's a weed plant. And you
Yeah.
killed it.
Let me tell you something. I have a confession. This is true. When I was a little kid, my family was from Georgia. We used to pick cotton.
Okay.
I used to pick cotton.
You
And
pick
did you
cotton?
own that farm where you pick cotton?
We were sharecroppers.
Thank you.
We were
Yeah,
sharecroppers, and picking. I'll tell you, picking cotton is hard.
It is.
because
I've heard that.
cotton
It
has a
cuts you.
little.
Uh-huh.
You have to actually pull it out. There's little sticky little things on it, so
Yeah.
you can't just pick cotton.
Right.
Mind you, I wouldn't want that as a career. Mind
of
you,
course not.
and we were just doing that for fun. But it is hard.
But
I will
if it
totally.
was your land, you were doing it to make money.
We were just having fun.
I mean, I used to have to pluck chickens and do all that stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever wring a chicken's neck?
I have.
No, I plucked
You ever
them.
done
My dad
Yeah,
did the
I
ringing.
did one for
You
my
rang a
grandmother.
chicken's neck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that happen there, Chris?
No, I
Oh,
haven't.
you got to see that. That's
You won't
some
wanna
brutal
eat
stuff.
chicken.
Oh my God, that's some brutal
I've
stuff.
also chopped the head off.
You
And
chopped the
then they run
head off of a
around.
chicken?
Yeah. The duck.
Really?
Yeah. You put your foot down on his head, on a chopping block. So he can't get
if
away?
PETA is listening, we do not support this type of activities.
Peter, if you taste as good as chicken, I'm going to cut your head off. I love me some yard bird.
Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, but that's what people used to do back in the day. I mean,
Yeah,
you're talking about
work
being
for
a
your
farmer.
food.
I'm a farmer.
People that had livestock, you had to kill it to eat it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we pluck
Yeah.
chickens, we skin rabbits.
I raised pigeons.
Oh, I don't eat no pigeons.
I had about 250 pigeons at
Pigeons?
one time.
Did you eat them?
I used to sell the squabs, the baby pigeons, to people for $5 a bird.
And what would
This
they do
was
with
back in
them?
the 60s.
And what would they do with them?
They eat them.
They eat them?
Yeah, it was a delicacy.
Pigeons?
Yeah, squab.
Yeah, they
you
eat
ever heard of
sparrows
squab?
in France. I don't know what they're getting off of.
You heard of squab?
I've
That's
never
what
heard
a
of
pigeon
squab.
is. Yeah, check it out.
And you would eat a squab?
Sure, it's tender.
Really?
Not a whole lot of meat on it, but you cook them or kill them just before they get fur, the feathers.
My family used to eat, and I know we're way off subject here, but my family used to eat raccoons. That was
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, I had
you ever
neighbors
eat a
that used to-
raccoon?
I've
Did
never
you make
eaten no coon,
raccoon
no.
hats?
No,
Raccoon hat?
My brother did.
I've heard. I've had.
Oh, no,
squirrel.
raccoon hats. Oh, sure, those are common. But I've, even squirrel, those are terrible. Real bony. Terrible.
No, it tastes good.
Those are terrible.
Quails.
No. Well, I mean, I had quail, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, back on subject. So can you use marijuana in a palliative setting? The answer is absolutely you can. And what we're seeing is about 62% of people that are at end of life would benefit from palliative care. And we're actually working on a book, and we will probably put in there the marijuana as far as being palliative care, but you can't do too much of it. I think you're just limited to about maybe 10 to 100 milligrams of a CBD in there, because what you don't want, there has to be a balance. You don't want your people disorientated. And I think our goal with...
Well, you do limit it because I have lots of recipes, and you know what you're going to put in, how much.
Well, that's what we have to define it.
Now
because I think it goes in the right.
You have to literally put a label on that butter now.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't used to, but now you do.
That's a good thing.
Because my daughter's making a bunch for gifts for people
do you know what I was
buy.
thinking? I think if you have someone that is palliative care, or if anyone that you want to give cannabis to, I think the best mechanism, and I'm sure of this, the best mechanism is to use butter, infused butter, and then you can use the cannabis, really as liberally as you like.
Well, that's what
I think that's
my
the
daughter's. The shake wasn't that great, so she didn't take this one. She's looking for a stronger one that has some buds in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to tell exactly the amount of THC you're putting in.
How do you know that?
You have to
How is
label.
that determined?
Well, you can
measure?
actually measure it. Yeah, you can actually
How?
measure it. I don't know how they do it. I wish we had Stephen here today. Stephen wasn't able to make it.
Well, my daughter
today.
does.
Is that right?
Yeah, my daughter's been doing this for years. I told you, we made edibles for years. This isn't new.
Mm-hmm. So, am I right about
And
that?
I mean, I can give you a recipe to make your butter.
Mm-hmm. I think
That's
that's
why
the
most
key.
people, and Steve agrees with me, shake is better to use.
But how do you know what the THC THC?
They do a thing where
How do
they
you know what the
strain
level
in
is?
that. I thought I was going to walk
Is
through
there
it
a
with her this
tool
weekend.
that measures
but
that, or is it based on what? That's what I don't understand.
That's a good question. I wish those guys were here today, but I think they actually take the amount, and I believe they can actually weigh the shake, and the shake will give them an idea.
No, they use I can tell you exactly. I'm sitting here.
Steve, do you know how they, or Chris, do you know how they do that?
No, I really don't.
I see. Yeah, but I think that's the key. I think if you're really trying to help somebody use cannabis, I think the mechanism or the proper mechanism is to allow them butter or to make them a butter.
See, my daughter does it in crock pots because you want it to be slow.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes some excellent butter and
Is that right? I think
olive oil.
really,
She's
I'm
did it
sure
for a long time.
butter is the mechanism.
And
if
it
there's one
sells real
thing,
because she sells stuff to the stores. They
Mm-hmm.
buy your stuff.
they buy her butter.
They buy at the weed stores too.
So do you know how she makes
She
the butter?
has I know how she makes it, but that's for her to tell you. I was going over there this weekend, but the shake she said they were trying to sell her wasn't that great. They want buds in them, like you've heard Steve say too.
But can you visualize the buds?
I've gotten the butter from her and that because she's doing it probably for the holiday. It might be too late now, but she'll still sell them.
Mm-hmm.
They put them in little containers and that, and there's something else we're adding to it, which is going
Does
to
the
make
butter
it sell
look like
better.
regular
but I'm not
butter,
going
or-
to acknowledge that.
Can you spread it on some bread? Or?
No, you can put it, but you're smarter with bread. Like I had a huge container of olive oil she had made, and what we would do is make garlic bread, and you could spread that the oil on it, the cannabis oil.
What concerns me is I don't want to get, first of all,
You're
I don't want
not
to
going
get
to
high.
get too high. If you're going to sit up and eat the whole loaf, but see, it doesn't work like that. You're not going to eat the whole loaf.
But that's always
If
been
you
my
do, then
criticism,
you're an
and that's
idiot.
why, as a show.
Well, then let me ask you a question. You're a pharmacist. If you gave me a bottle of pills, you think I'm going to take the whole bottle?
No, but
But that works the same thing with that.
No, it
People
doesn't.
know what to take and what not to.
No, it
Now,
doesn't.
you do have idiots that will take as many pills as they can because they don't feel they're high enough yet.
Well-
and you have people that do the same thing when it comes to when they're making
Well,
peanut butter
if
cookies.
if I
and
gave
stuff.
you if I gave you a tablet of oxycodone 80
I
milligrams,
wouldn't take it, but what I said to you, the same thing works
I see.
if you're using an oil on your bread or butter that's infused with weed.
but
A person's
this
smart
is,
enough,
Okay,
but you have idiots, and you know you do.
not idiots.
That's why now they're monitoring you guys.
Consumers are idiots.
Yeah.
By definition,
But that's
or
what
not,
I'm trying to
not,
say
not
to you.
idiots. But so if you were in pain and I gave you a tablet of oxycodone 80 milligrams, would you take the whole tablet?
I probably wouldn't take it at all.
Well,
I
if
don't
you were
like
in pain
taking
and
anything.
I said
I'd
this
rather
is
deal with the pain, and a lot of pain if it's like he got in a wreck, Lee did, and he gets a lot of pain in his back. I find the CBD really helps that. I
Right.
use that. I also I put little droppers of hemp I have.
yeah.
I'll put a drop on my mouth, and that helps.
But the reason I said this because if you took that tablet, you'd be dead.
I wouldn't take it though. And most
I know you wouldn't.
But
80
there
milligrams
are
a
people,
You'd be dead.
There
And they make an
are
80 milligram
people
tablets.
that will take it.
But
Just
see,
like there
that's the
are
thing.
people that'll eat that whole
As a
loaf of bread.
pharmacist, I know what's there. But what you're giving me some olive oil, telling me I don't know.
No, when you sell
it's
butter to
just true.
somebody,
I'm gonna know if
you
I'm gonna.
label. You have to label now the amount that's in there, and you tell them it's the same thing. When you give a pill bottle, it says take a half of that pill. That's all you're taking. It's the same thing. If you're making an edible and it's strong, you now want to start putting warnings on there and say, do not eat the whole thing at once. Eat
Well,
maybe a couple bites of it. It's the
it's just
same
not
theory.
defined.
You have people that will take those pills.
But
They'll
the-
take one and then say, this ain't getting rid of the pain. I'm going to take it. And these, to me, are drug seekers.
Oh, it's just not
Well,
defined.
it could be.
Yeah, that's all. That's my only issue and my only purpose of even that.
I think
that
you
example.
should try it and just see
No,
the
I
difference
pass.
between that with drinking.
No,
And see which is the
drinking was
best.
great.
I think
Drinking's no different than weed.
No, drinking's totally
Well,
different.
alcoholics, I mean, they get cirrhosis of the liver. Now, I don't know of anybody getting weed of the liver. I'm a little thrown there.
All right, I got a bottle of, it was root beer, caffeine free. I drank the whole damn bottle.
Yeah.
It was 26 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, 26 ounces.
You might have a diabetic coma today.
Really? A serving is 8 ounces.
Chris, do you prefer beer or do you prefer cannabis?
I prefer cannabis.
Cannabis over beer?
but I drink occasionally, yeah, too.
Yeah.
But I rather smoke.
So if you were at end of life, would you want someone to offer you a beer, or would you want? If I'm at end of life, I'd want someone to offer me a beer. Say, hey,
But
Wallace,
that's because you don't do cannabis.
I would rather be offered a joint.
really? No.
I agree.
Okay.
Because I have asthma, but if I'm dying, I'm going to smoke that joint.
You're gonna smoke a joint if
I'm
you're
going to
dying?
smoke that whole joint if I'm dying because I'm dying, so who cares if I have an asthma attack?
Well, I would say give me a brownie infused because I
Infused
love
brownie?
brownies.
You love
Yeah,
brownies.
see, so-
So that would
It's three
satisfy
against
two
one.
things.
Uh-huh.
You know, my desire for a good brownie, and then if it's infused, I'm going to mellow out. You know, I might tell a couple of jokes, laugh.
Yeah. Well, but I'd love to hear, based on your last joke, I'd love to hear. You still got a lot of room to go. So,
Somebody's asking Lee to answer the phone, I think. Is this today?
I haven't seen it ring.
yeah, if you guys
Yeah,
are,
there 2 minutes ago, Dwayne asked you to answer the phone, Elfie.
Well, call back, Al.
yeah, if anyone would like
and
to call.
I'm looking on here, and Matt Hunter's listening today.
Who is?
Yeah,
Matt Hunter, and
I'm
we
amazed
have-
how many listeners we
Hi,
have. Thanks
Steve.
for all
we have
the.
Stephen Ballard. He's a limousine driver that I know.
Yeah.
I know my friend Belinda's listening because she sent me a message.
Yeah, I have a lot of my friends
So it's
that
nice to
listen.
let them know we know they're there.
Yeah, we have a lot. I have Sunshine listens from Ohio. I've
Maybe
got
the Ringer's
Kathy's
not on.
from Playa listens.
No, Ringer's not on, but I'm watching it.
I believe we have, looks like maybe Matt from Toledo's listening. So I've got a lot of listeners, but we always appreciate the listeners and anyone that is with us. We're going to try to come out with some really good products. Anyone that doesn't have a T-shirt, we still have those T-shirts that we tend to give out. And
Is that the Flight 420 shirts?
Flight 420 out of Los Angeles.
I have mine.
Oh, good deal. Good deal.
I wear it at least a couple times a month.
And we appreciate
I don't wash
you.
it, though.
Yeah, I'm Wallace Peoples. I'm a board-certified pharmacist. We discuss cannabis from a think tank perspective. We're live from Hollywood. I think legalization is something that really is probably where we're going right now.
Well, I think it's going to go all the way because I was getting ready to buy some stock.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you this.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex was the stockbroker. He said, don't bother.
Don't bother?
He said, because the tobacco company's taken over. What do you think just showed up? Marlboro.
Oh, Marlboro. Oh, you did send me that. Yeah, Marlboro.
He said they're going to be in stores.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be able to go in and buy a pack of weed.
Yeah,
joints.
I think next week, for our show next week, I think we're going to look at some of the financial opportunities.
Francis Coppola just did a wine.
Yeah.
That thing sold. He was testing it. It sold that fast.
Yeah.
Cannabis wine?
Yeah, he infused it. You can infuse anything.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I would have never thought infusing alcohol with cannabis.
Well, I hate to.
That's interesting.
I hate to gloat, but my son-in-law, Walt, he is up for 2 Grammys.
Oh,
2 Grammys! Yeah,
congratulations!
Yeah,
Walt.
I'm really happy for him.
That's good.
Grammys for what?
Either best artist. His artists are up for best artist, best new album, and since
is that BB Rexa?
Is that who?
BB Rexa, because I know she's up for best artist.
Could be, but I don't know.
I don't know what company she's.
Yeah, but he's up for 2 Grammys, and the Grammys is February the 10th. So
is it in L.A. or New York?
It's in, I believe, New York, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they kind of rotate between.
But
the
Grammys
cities.
is a big thing. That's for him.
No, I don't think as much as
them.
they used to be, because it used to be they weren't political, where record companies could buy a Grammy.
Yeah,
it used to be. It was you're lucky if you won 1 Grammy or 2 at the most. But now you got people like Taylor Swift. She comes in, she gets 5 and 6.
I know Walt listens to the show, so Walt, congratulations. We're really proud of you.
She's not nominated. But see, she's probably not, and Beyonce isn't for a change.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see Ariana Grande. I think she's had a really tough year, what she's had to go through.
Yeah. After Walt wins, we're going to bring the Grammy in here.
There you go.
We're going to get him on the show here.
I hope he wins.
Yeah,
I'm just curious what artist it is.
Yeah. Anyway, that's just going to about wrap it up. Thanks for joining us, Carol Lemire. We appreciate having you. Chris from Ohio. Is it Michigan or Ohio, Chris?
Ohio.
Chris from Ohio, we're thankful to have you. And Lee Michaels from the Power of Voices Radio Network, and Josefa Salinas, we're always thankful for your participation. I am Wallace Peoples. This is Mondays with Wallace. You are on Flight 420, live from Los Angeles. Thanks for being aboard. Goodbye, everyone. Next week, we're going to talk about financial opportunities for any and everyone, and ways that you can get into, ways you can make money in marijuana, whether you smoke or don't smoke. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.